Hello friends, I'm back again. You can actually see me this time, which is a bit odd. I don't know how I feel about that, but we shall see. I'm probably going to forget to look at the camera almost immediately, so I'll do it now a lot and then never again. Also, how unexpected was that intro? Sammy's done a new one and it's pretty good. It's a lot better than the normal one, but there we go. So we're back and I'm making stuff for myself again, which is nice, and you get to watch me. This episode is going to be a little bit different to the last ones. I'm pretty sure I just spoke about myself for the majority of them, or at least spoke about like vaguely interesting normal stuff. But this one in particular is pretty much going to be exclusively about Empire. Because I've got a topic that I want to talk about, which is a change. Apparently I'm that organised. But there you go. I want to talk about this bit of kit that I'm making, which I'm not going to move because it's in the shot now and I don't want to change it. So you can't see all of it. But I'm making Fal a stole because he's a preacher now. He has been for a while, but I changed the archetype on the system it must have been for the beginning of E1, because it made more sense that he sort of became that archetype rather than the shaman, and I decided I wanted a bit of kit that showed that off. So yes, it was just some wool. I believe it was a fabric. It's definitely fabric. It was a curtain, I'm pretty sure. Andrea's nodding.
That used to be hanging up in my mum and dad's living room. They were the curtains that they had when I was on the hip-hop.
When you were knee-high to a sand mouse.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, and now they've been repurposed as LARP kit, as all good curtains should be. And I've got some wax thread and the curved needle. Ta-da! Now, again, it's applique, more of the same. But I'm doing it a little bit differently this time. I'm actually sewing leather onto the wool. So I've cut it out, used a nice template and got it all mathed out. And I've spray glued it with, I guess it is just spray mount probably.
Yes.
Yeah, generic spray mount. So it's all nice and stuck down. Because it needs cost an arm and a leg. But you've still got both of yours.
Well, it didn't have to be mine.
Oh. Whose body parts have you been selling to get us spray mount? I don't want to know. So that's all glued down and fixed properly. And I've also gone ahead and, I was going to say drilled all the holes. I haven't drilled all the holes. I've got a little fork that stamps holes with a hammer. So I put that on and go ka-chunk, 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 ka-chunk. And well, I go ka-chunk, 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 ka-chunk. And hammer out all the holes, because then it means I can put the needle through the leather immediately. And it's very quick and a lot easier to use. So without further ado, I'm going to start this off, and then I'm going to start talking about what, if I can find, I'm going to go from behind. Yeah, look at that, found it immediately. So, a lot of content about LARP is generally at new players to get them involved, and you know, it's like budget ways to make kit, or 101 ways to turn a t-shirt into a tunic, or you know, lots of really useful advice and stuff. But I'm going to do a video that's advice for older players, not necessarily veterans, if you will, but in particular people who say they've finished with their kit, or they've made enough and they don't need to make any more. So I am of my philosophy for LARP is you can never finish making your kit. There's always going to be more bits to do.
That's how you kill your characters, isn't it?
That's how you kill your characters. What, when you finish their kit?
Oh no, it's when you buy new kit.
It's when you buy a kit for your new character, yeah. I might have to use some pliers for this. But there are a lot of people that say, after, you know, a year or two, oh, I've made all the costume I want to for this character. There's nothing else I want to wear now. And what I would say to them is, in real life, would you wear the same pair of trousers for 3 years in a row? I mean, I would, because I'm cheap and they're generally, all my clothes devolve into work clothes. And then I sort of...
devolve into your work clothes as well.
Well, yeah, but sharing is caring. Of course I'm going to wear your clothes as my work clothes, then mine stay nice and shiny and new. Which is a lie, they don't. But I think it's very easy to think of your character's clothing as costume. And, you know, on film and TV and whatnot, a character will wear a single costume, and they seem to wear that constantly all the time, and they never change their clothes. Now, at a LARP event, or arguably at any sort of reenactment, or any sort of thing where you're dressing up, it makes sense to have more than one outfit, don't you think? Especially if you're a well-known character and you've been wearing the same pantaloons since your first event, people are going to start wondering if you wash your clothes. Or alternatively, if you've just got 7 pairs of the same bit of kit, which I guess you could. And in fact, there's that character in that book that was like the mayor of a town, and someone noticed that he always wore the same clothing, but it was like always pristine, and it turned out he had like 20 sets of each thing, and every day he wore exactly the same thing, but it was like a brand new version.
So, true story, I actually had a maths tutor who did that. Like, legit.
Yeah?
He was always wearing exactly the same outfit.
Okay. So he'd found his real life costume.
Yeah. Like, it was quite funny. Like, I felt it was quite funny. But yeah. He'd always come to the door wearing like a navy blue band t-shirt. I can't remember what the band was. It had like white print on it.
Yeah.
And then like these like stonewashed jeans. And he looked exactly the same every single time I went to see him. So there you go.
Cool. Well, so it might work for some people, but what I'm trying to say is that shouldn't be the norm. There's no reason why your character shouldn't have more than one outfit. Now, I know a lot of people will say, oh, well, I can't afford a lot of kit, or, you know, you've got the kit you want to wear and you don't want to change it. That's cool. That's more than fine. But people aren't going to assume you're a different character if you're wearing different clothes.
I think you'd be surprised, actually.
Do you think that's the case?
Yeah. Like, it definitely happens at Vampire. Like, because a lot of the time, like, your clothing is the only thing that differentiates your characters.
That's true. But
that's a whole different ballgame.
So if we're thinking of games where you can have long-lasting characters, you know, I've been playing Foul for 2-3 years now. You've been playing Raw for 3 or 4, and you've gone through outfits. You know, you've made more than one outfit, and you're still the same character.
I have, but that's mostly because I've bored and I needed to get my keys
But this
back
is
for Vampire.
But this is kind of what I'm trying to say in a roundabout way. Is it's a good thing to do. I think people need to have. You know, you're gonna have smartwear, and you're gonna have your armor, and you're gonna have your wandering about anvil, like clothing that's good to get muddy. Then there's nothing wrong with having more than one thing. I think it makes your character more interesting. Oh, bless you.
Sorry.
I know one of the things I wanted to talk about was your character's clothing is just an extension of them. And in a way that almost every bit of clothing you wear should say something about your character. If that's the outward appearance that you're portraying to the world, then everything you wear should maybe not have a story, but should be appropriate and should makes sense for that character. Everything Val wears, he's made himself. You know, all of the clothing I make, in effect, my characters also make, because the majority of them I play as some sort of, like, they all have some sort of competent level at crafting. Mainly because I like to take the credit for things when they're made in character. But for example, this stole, I wouldn't have needed one of these a year ago before Val was a preacher, but now he's become one, and I feel like he needs a defining bit of costume that shows that off, and it's a bit you can look at it and you can see, that means such and such, that's got a reason to be. It's not just, I thought that was cool, I'm going to wear that now. That can also be a reason, certainly. But I like the idea that our clothing tells a story. And, you know, if you looked back a couple of years ago to your characters, then they would probably look entirely different to how they do now. But that's a good thing. That shows growth. It shows what aspirational kit is supposed to be. It shows the time and dedication you've put into your clothing and your look. You know, I really like being proud of Val's appearance. I think he looks kick-ass. But that's because I've spent a lot of time faffing around making bits of fabric stick to other bits of fabric and doing horrible things to my hands in the process. There's something to be said about making kit for you. Now, I keep interchanging the words. What I want to do is just say clothing, because I feel like at this point, if you are playing a character that's lived, you know, a few years, or you're playing a character that's got some longevity behind them, I don't feel like costume is the right term. It is clothing. You know, I feel like whenever I make an article of clothing or a garment for Val, it is exactly that. It's me making a bit of clothing, and now I'm going to say clothing a lot, and now the word's going to sound weird. But I think you understand.
I saw an article on the internet about that.
Yeah.
And oddly enough, I think it was actually somebody's Empire kit, where they did like a sort of cut down and build it up and stuff.
Is this the one that
they did?
Looks vaguely like a Jedi robe?
Yeah, and it's got like a belt that is made up of stuff that's tied together.
Yeah. So I know exactly what you're talking about, and I can't remember what it's called. But hopefully, future me will put a link to that in the description, because then there's another thing that's sort of talking about what I'm talking about. Yeah,
and they made that distinction as well. Like, rather than it being a costume, it is your character's clothing, and like the second you start thinking of it in that manner, rather than it being costume, it being clothing, you kind of sort of see a different side of it. So you're looking at things like practicality and longevity.
Yes, you start to look for more hard-wearing materials. You make, you in effect make different types of clothing for different weathers. So you've got more warmer weather gear for the winter, and you've got cooler gear for the summer. That strap looks really cool. I like that. Just remember to make it a bit bigger for said client's hands, because they will be wearing clothing.
I see what you did there.
They will be wearing wraps underneath that strap.
Is this your tea? This is my tea.
That's your tea.
Yes.
Now, the stole I'm making now, yes, is it's something that shows part of Val's story. It shows where he's got to at the moment. But the point I want to make is, this is a bit of clothing that no one's ever going to see. And in fact, a lot of you watching this, unless you watch me getting dressed in the morning, which is highly disturbing, but if you're an orc, then that's fine, because we all seem to get dressed in front of each other. But this is probably the only time you're actually going to see this stole, because it will be, I have my 2 underrobes that I wear, and then this will be going on, and it will be underneath my jacket.
Why? Oh, why?
Why?
Oh, I guess
So
you work on
I really like the idea, and it's another. So I should have made a list of these things I wanted to talk about, but
That's
I didn't.
okay.
So they're coming out a bit jumbled. But I really like the idea that you get dressed into your character. So you put your layers of clothing on, and you become that person.
Finally, I have an excuse for why it takes me so long to kit up.
Exactly.
Because I'm becoming blind.
I think if you are one to say you have finished your kit and you've made all you possibly can, first of all, I'm sorry, but that's rubbish. But then that's the excuse to start making underlayers. Yeah, you know, when we were at the Orc player event, Will Talbot came out of his tent basically in character underwear, and then he went to battle. And he could do that because he had, you know, breeches and a shirt that were, in effect, his bedwear, like his gym jams, that he wore underneath his clothing. And it was a nice little... It's just a nice little touch that adds to the feel of authenticity. I love the idea that my 2 underrobes, which you can't see a lot of, you can only see the bottom of them, they in effect could be my whole costume. If I really wanted to, if I was feeling unwell, or it was 40 degrees outside, or I really needed to go and be foul but I couldn't put all my costume on, I feel confident that I could put those 2 robes on and my wraps, so I'm covering all my skin. That would still be enough costume that I could wear for, maybe it's a run to the toilet and we're somewhere that you can't go out of character to go to the loo, so I've got to get the minimal amount on to run across, I don't know, the encampment to get where I need to do. I like the idea that that is possible, and I think once you've gotten to the point where you think, oh, I've made all of the costume I want to wear, if you start thinking of it as clothing, then you think, well, on a normal camping trip I'd take 3 pairs of shirts, because you change your shirts every day. So I've now got to make 2 more shirts that might be costume that no one ever sees, might not be clothing that anyone ever sees, but it's there for you. I remember back, it must have been years and years ago, before I even became a model maker, before I went to uni and sort of trained to do all of this stuff professionally, I used to pore over the Lord of the Rings behind the scenes DVDs, all whatever, 8 of them or something ridiculous, and I used to love watching how they made everything. And I remember, I can't remember the guy's name, the guy who plays Theoden. He was talking about the first time he put his armour on, and so it was, I believe it was brass armour that was leather lined, so it looked really nice and ornate, but it was also practical and simple. And I remember him saying he put it on and the art department had embellished a sun onto the back of it, which was something that the camera would never see. It's something no one else would ever see when he's wearing it, but it was there specifically for him as he was getting dressed in character to become King Theoden. And I could even be totally misquoting it and just misremembering it, but my idea of that little snippet of content has stuck with me obviously until today, because I'm now mentioning it again. But I love that idea that a lot of your clothing is for you, and it's personal to your character, and it's bits that are important to you that you wear but aren't necessarily seen. It's stuff that makes the character feel more alive, that makes them feel more alive for you, that then helps aid your roleplay and helps bring that character to life properly. To the extent I would absolutely love to wear in-character underwear and in-character linen shirts and stuff underneath my character costume, character clothing. But I just haven't had the time to make any.
So, can I interject?
Of course you can.
I do that at Hades, where I actually wear like a little vest and like cotton boxers like on top of my actual underwear, just in case I ever need to get undressed for whatever reason. I'm completely icy, and that's really helpful in the mornings, because like once you've gone past the like practicality of having to put your actual underwear on, like putting your character's underwear on, it really does like start changing your mindset. But yeah, that was my 10 cents. It's really interesting.
No, I agree. That's sort of why I wanted to mention it. I love the idea that you build up your character layer by layer, piece of clothing by piece of clothing, and you become that persona. You know, that's why a lot of us laugh. It's to become other people. It's that escapism. It's that getaway to just forget about everything else and be something different. And it just, I like the idea there's more than one way to do that, and there's always more ways to do it better, and to improve on it, I think is a better term. Do things better. And annoyingly, I'm having to go through the back of this, so I've got no hole to go. I can go through the front of it fine, and it's really easy, but I can't go through the back of it because I can't see where I am.
You can do anything.
I can do anything if I put my mind to it.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, people who can't fly.
Oh, I can definitely fly.
Or eat a mountain.
I could eat a mountain if a mountain was made of cake. Then I definitely could. But I don't think we get cake mountains in Britain.
Where are the leather scissors? Sorry.
Where are the leather scissors?
Interrupting your video.
I'm not sure. I bought these little oobly doos. Are just here, the little snips.
Thank you.
So I'm not sure if there's anything else I want to add to that point. I think I've kind of said what my intention for talking was. The idea that I'm now going to spend probably another 2 hours after this video is finished doing all this hand sewing that no one's ever going to see, and I'm not going to affect anyone's game, but it's going to help me even maybe just in the half an hour it takes to get dressed in the morning. It's going to help me think about what this means to Fal, to my character. It's going to aid in my decision making, and it's the sort of thing that in years to come, when the character dies or the character retires, it can become an heirloom that people didn't even realise existed, and it can be something that was always there in the background, and then it comes out of a box or it comes out of somewhere, and they're like, here, have this cool thing that is now an item of worth. Go and wear this and inform your roleplay.
Do you think that other nations that don't have the concept of worth will think about their kit like in that kind of... Because that is quite meta. Do you know what I mean? Like, like it's quite like a meta thought that you're thinking this could be an item later on down the line.
But that's not something my character wouldn't think.
No, I know, but like, do you think other nations think about their kit in that manner?
I'm not sure they have that same sort of sentimental value as orcs do. I think orcs in particular are just going to give their clothes to other people.
Yeah.
For any reason, not even just, they just don't want them anymore. Here, have some clothes. You'll get more use out. You know, they're incredibly practical people. Nothing's going to go to waste. I'm not sure whether... I mean, Highguard have museums, so there's definitely a precedent for holding on to old. You know, like they might have clothes from Paralanth in a Polis's museum.
Yeah, but I wonder if like.
But that's a slightly different. I know that's not quite what you're talking about.
Yeah, I mean more along the lines of. Do you think like a Highguard person would be like, I'm going to make this piece of kit because eventually I want it to end up in someone's museum? Or like, even like the marches and stuff. Like, do you think they like pass down their characters' gardening gloves through the generations?
I very much hope that there is a Marcher family out there in Anvil that passes down their gardening gloves through every generation. If that's not the most Marcher thing I've ever heard, I'm going to be disappointed when I find out that no one does that.
These are my grandfathers.
If you can hand down your father's sword, if you can hand down weaponry and armour, why would you not hand down clothing?
That's quite
if it's still in good nick.
Like that is a practical thing for LARPers.
Yes.
Not necessarily a practical thing for your characters. I mean, it obviously is.
I don't really see the difference.
No, but I'm wondering, like, it's more like. It's kind of more. Oh, I don't know what the word is, but like it's more stereotypical and like traditional. That those are the sort of things that would get looted from a corpse. Would be an in-game item rather than a piece of clothing. Does that make any sense?
Yeah, I can. So interestingly enough, I've actually got I've got a thing I want to add here. So when we went to when everybody else went to raid Dogdrake,
yeah,
and everyone came back with all their fancy loot, and they came back with pots and pans and silverware and goblets and blankets and all manner of interesting gubbins.
Yeah.
I turned around and said, "Well, we've sacked the characters have sacked the city. Surely the best thing to do now is go and loot all of the things that they have to buy, the necessities. So go and loot the Grendel socks, go and loot their underwear, go and loot their boots and their gloves, because then it means any money they've got left over that they would spend on ships, they've now got to buy all this boring clothing stuff." Which I thought was a great idea. But apparently buying all their artwork and stuff looting all their artwork and stuff that they don't really need, that they don't quite need to replace, was a much more appealing idea.
I think you need to change your title to the Imperial Troll.
Imperial Troll. Do you not think that would... Does that not make sense?
I completely agree with you. That's the thing.
You know, you go and you would loot all of their food, so they've then got to buy food off the Druge.
But, like, do you see what I mean? Like, that's not necessarily, like, the stereotypical LARPer thinking, is it?
No.
Because, of course, you're going to take everything that's actually valuable, because you wouldn't have thought...
I would like to think, if me of all people have thought of something, someone else, at least 2 other people, will have thought the same thing. Whether they then did anything about it, you know, all the dub trade medals I did, I intentionally told people this is something Fowler's made from all the spoils that Orcs have brought back to him and Scarsins. They are just made from generic silverware and bits of metal that were scrounged, probably bits of ship. And, you know, I told enough people that wanted to listen to, like, make up stories about the stuff that's in that medal. You know, it could be a Grendel Magistrate's chain of office, or a Corsair's bunch of Corsair's gold teeth were melted down into that medal.
Yikes. That's pretty brutal.
But, you know, it makes sense. Why would you not make an insanely prideful medal that commemorates an assault on a city out of things that you looted from that city? And seeing as Fowl didn't get to go, yeah.
But you did choose to.
I did choose to take a
priest.
congregation as my resource rather than military unit, yes, I know.
So you can't be like, you didn't have an option.
I would have gone if I had the chance. Everyone would have. But yeah, I think that might.
Pretty sure
I don't
your
know what-
unlimited stipend could have covered the cost for a military unit.
It could have done, but then I wouldn't get my votes in the synod, and I wouldn't get the all-powerful right of witness to use, which, apart from detect magic and Skein of Years, is one of the best powers in the game. Arguably.
How many skin of years have you actually done?
How many Skein of Years have I done? I did one last event.
Did you?
Yep, I did one with Reese on an item for Brian. I'm not going to say what it was,
Cool. Don't.
but I did a very cool. It was a short one. It wasn't a. It wasn't
Oh,
the
I know what
usual
that is. Sorry.
big long couple of pages worth of history. It was just a couple of scenes, but it was really good. We got Skywise Dart. We got Ben involved,
Cool.
which is always good to do. I know he doesn't get much of a chance to do stuff outside of his military council role, but we got. Reese led it, I joined in, I got to be some clouds in a dramaturgy. It's better than being the wind. Well, that's probably the same thing, isn't it?
I think you enjoyed being the wind.
I quite like being the wind. I get to swoosh around a lot.
I'm sorry. I've hijacked your video.
No, that's fine. I've no idea how long we've been going for now. Time rolls by when you're hand sewing leather. Just disappears like sand through your fingers. Could you have a look and see?
Not without like wobbling
Not without wobbling the table.
the table.
So what I want to do is I want to actually get this sewn on, because all my other videos I sort of just get halfway through and then I stop because it's been an hour and I haven't made much progress. But I'm determined that you're going to watch me until the end. So, you know, feel free to. You're just going to stare at me now. Feel free to pop off if you've had enough of me hand sewing. But I'm gonna carry on for a little bit longer. I'm really excited for this event coming.
I thought you said you didn't know what you wanted to do.
I'm not sure what I want to do, but that's actually quite a good change. I quite like it when I don't have a schedule that puts everything into an hour slot and then I have to run around to do all of those things. It'll be nice that there's still going to be loads to do, and there's loads of fallout from other stuff we've done, but it'll be nice to get to be in the Orc camp for a change, and I'm determined to go to the Night of Worth again.
Very nice.
I don't have anything for the craft contest,
Oh no!
but
I know what I'm making.
you know what you're making?
Yep.
What are you going to say?
No,
Oh, what? You're going to keep it a surprise for everyone.
it's going to be a secret.
Rubbish.
What?
No, that's a good thing.
It's a pretty cool thing.
Yeah.
It's going to be a gift. So there you go.
Gift. Oh, everyone likes gifts.
Everybody likes gifts.
I'm trying to work out if I do have some gifts lined up this event actually. So there's a fly up there, buzzing away on the lights. Hello, buddy. You're going to get really annoying really quickly, aren't you? Ah, there you go. Somebody has contacted me to have some bits made, and they are going to be in character gifts, and they're really cool. But I'm gonna flip it 360, and I'm turning it into a surprise.
Cool.
So now you might be thinking, Matt, by saying it here, you've ruined the surprise. But actually, I'm going to be so vague it hurts. Somebody has asked for some stuff to be gifted, and I've done it. I've already made it, and they're actually hidden out of shot. You're not gonna. There's no Easter eggs. You don't get to see them. But I am mixing up how they're going to be delivered, so that it's still a surprise for the person that has bought them. So they get surprised as well as the people that they have been bought for, which I think is cool. And then that gives me a couple of things that I have to organise fairly sharpish at time in if I want to get it ready and raring to go before I'm supposed to do that surprise. So there you go, multi-layers of surprises coming to you at E2.
See, I feel like my pacing's going to be a bit off. Like, last event, I paced myself quite well.
Yeah?
And, like, I pretty much had... I basically had, like, something to do all the time. Which was kind of exhausting, but it wasn't, like, so fast-paced that, like, I died.
Okay.
You know, internally. Didn't eat much, but, yeah, I did...
Cheese and wine, all event. Your whole diet.
Yeah, well, only when you came and gave it to me, though.
Cheese, wine, and sometimes hot drinks.
Yeah, like that meal ticket. Do you know how many I actually used?
Did you use 2?
I used 2 out of 13.
But it's good. They roll the meal tickets don't roll over, but the drinks tickets do.
Yeah.
So you've got that for a while.
Yeah, like it literally would have been pointless me having a meal ticket because I just wouldn't have used it.
No, but that's why I got one each, because I figured there's no point us running around looking for each other to get the drinks ticket.
Yeah.
Seeing as they overlap events, it's not like they're going to run out. So we didn't get excess drinks.
But like this event,
Yeah.
I've got something that I want to do Friday night, and then that's basically it.
Are you not helping with the night of work?
I guess I am helping with the night of work, but like I don't really have anything like planned myself that I want to necessarily do.
Okay.
Apart from that one thing.
Apart from that one thing.
Yeah. Oh my word. Sorry.
Oh, you put the oven on. What's it called? Slow cooker.
Yes.
You're doing some clay.
Right, you know this.
I know that.
You know this.
Ta-da! That's a thing.
I should probably put it there. Okay. So that's a buckle, right? But I seem to remember asking you quite nicely
If I could sculpt something on that buckle for you.
make something on this buckle before you made it into something else.
Yes.
And what happened, Matt?
What happened is we had so much work from other people that I couldn't make anything for us.
Do you think it would be worth like moulding that?
I was thinking
Now.
exactly that. In fact, I was going to put it in silicon yesterday and then completely forgotten about it. However, I've got another surprise that someone has asked that someone's bought as well.
You are like full of surprises.
But I've only got one mould of them and I could do with 2, so I can get them out double as quick. So I was going to do another quick silicon mould tonight. If you want to put that in silicon.
I do, yeah.
Do you want to sculpt anything on that?
Basically what I want is I want...
To come around here so people can see. I don't know where the camera's facing, but
I mean, hang on.
I feel
You
like
might
it's...
be able to see me if I stand here.
Okay.
So, like, what I'd like is I want to make Ross a new outfit.
You want to make Raw some new outfits?
Yeah.
Yay!
I got the taste for it.
Were you listening to that handsome man talking about making more clothing for their...
You know what, now you said it, yeah.
Their
I think
characters?
I was.
Yeah, that's that video on YouTube somewhere.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't remember the guy's name, but it's something like the Goblin Moon channel.
The Goblin Moon channel. I know it well, actually. Yeah.
It's good stuff on there.
Yeah. I love that channel. It's my favourite.
Yeah.
Although I'm not sure about the main guy. Like,
the main one?
Yeah, what does he say?
The one that goes...
Olay!
Olay!
Anyway.
Sorry, you were saying?
I would like to make Raw some new dresses. Because I can.
Because you need more than one dress?
Yeah. And like not that I'm bored of my fancy gear, but I'd like some more. Anyway, I was looking on Pinterest and I was looking at stuff that kind of fit the Ashbourne aesthetic.
Yeah.
Sort of a little bit Wintermar, a little bit Varushka, maybe side order of Navarre.
Side order of Navarre.
And I saw these like Viking dresses.
Yes.
And I really like them.
They've got like the two brooches and then like some beads.
Yeah. So like they're like aprons. Like this.
Yeah.
Oddly enough. And like the straps have these things on them. And they hook onto the front of the dress. And then like you can dangle stuff across the front. Which I think would be really nice. And I think that looks pretty fantastic.
That's what you plan on doing.
So that's what I want to make some of those. I don't know what they're called. I think they're called turtle brooches.
I don't know. But... Yeah, that makes sense. It's a bit like a turtle shell, isn't it?
Yeah. That's what I'm going to do.
Cool. So we're going to get that in a little mould and...
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think... That's the crack.
Very nice.
Oh, I'll stop.
Well, no, that's fine. I think we're there. I think I've entertained in some way. Probably bored to sleep the majority of people watching this right now. So I've got the outer border sewn on. Now I've just got to sew down each of the 7 spokes. But that's something I'll do in my own time and probably not on camera because I doubt you want to see more of exactly the same thing while I just ramble on and slowly forget what I was supposed to be talking about.
Very good, very good.
Yeah. So I did actually... Obviously, it's been quite a while since the last evening with. I had done another one, and we even went to the park because I remember in the previous one I mentioned about going to the park, and then so I took some footage and I was going to do like a Bob Ross insert some deer here segment, but then I couldn't work out how to do it, and I got frustrated, and it got to the point where I'd filmed it so long ago that the stuff in it. Although I'm not necessarily talking about stuff specific to it, but it was sort of a bit irrelevant.
I'm a little... Oh, it wasn't
so
irrelevant. We played that game.
We did play... Did we play the Mexican handbag? Or
no,
we rated... We
did the higher or lower game that they play on Radio X, but
we rated
all the places
we'd been to in the Empire.
Player events and stuff.
Maybe what I'll do is, rather than putting the whole video out, because I've still got it on my phone, I'll go back and I will try and isolate that little bit.
Yeah, I'm sure.
And then we can put that up as a separate video, so you might get to see that. But I'm not going to promise it because I'm sort of doing this in my spare time with everything else that I do. So hopefully this will go up relatively soon after filming. I guess all that is, seeing as it's just one shot, I could just put it straight on YouTube and put the little logo in front, and Sammy's never going to watch it, so he won't know what's happened. Maybe I'll put it out tonight. Saturday's a good time for... Although Dave's one came out yesterday, and Dave's evening with was really nice.
I didn't... Oh, everyone was being so noisy. I couldn't...
We'll watch it again.
I want to have a go at nail binding. I want to have a go at hipster crochet.
I'm sure Dave will teach you hipster crochet.
Yay!
Anyway, that's channeling Sammy. Anyway, that's it for tonight. Thank you very much for watching. Thank you very much for listening to me. And I will see you all sometime in the future.
Anon.
Anon. So you want a non?
Yeah.
Isn't a non anonymous?
I think it's something else as well.
Oh, okay.
So,
Well.
I've heard that before. I don't entirely know what I mean. I'm just going to shut up. Okay.
I'm trying to say goodbye here. Have a lovely rest of the day, and I'll see you later. Bye.